an array of visitors, past chairman, past chairman. I will use this opportunity to ask you, gentlemen, I'll be able to call your name so I don't make any mistake. They're coming from outside, from different branches to come and grace our Lord. Can you be on your feet, please? So that just wait. Okay, please just introduce yourself so that they know you by your name.
My name is Sam.
I've been told that your names are here and they're going to introduce you. Thank you. Let me just mention this also. So our Lord Week has a lot of lessons. There's our colleague from Benin City who came in on Sunday night with the intent to participate in the open. His name is Albert Osaide. Unfortunately, he was welcomed by too much cold in Jos, and he had acute malaria and was hospitalized. So we went to see him yesterday in the hospital, and he expresses a lot of gratitude to us in Jos and hopes that he will make it to today's session. That you'll be able to come out of the hospital and attend today's session. As we speak with you, one of our own who also supported this lobby and also past general secretary, and as well as the person who put up the 2023 AGC as the chairman of the AGC planning, in the person of Master Alpha SA. You're welcome. So we have a lot of blessings. I pray that you will enjoy today's program, and at the end, it will end well. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Was the MBA chairman, Jos Branch, Mr. Isamo. Please let's put your hands together for him.
Really? That's a challenge. Yeah?
May I quickly recognize the presence of my Lord, Honorable Justice N.B. Chassis. Good to have you. A true barman indeed, one who has served the bar thoroughly, and as the chairman has said while he was talking, he walked in. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, can we applaud the presence of our very man? May I recognize the presence of Honorable Usman Bengeji DCI, Honorable Victoria N. Timothy, Honorable Lawal Suleiman DCI Sharia Court of Appeal. Good to have you with us now. Honorable S.D. Manan. This is a household name. I expect that the members of the bar, we should know this eminent personality. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may we recognize the presence of Mr. Autan Iyanga, member of the National Welfare Committee, who is currently the secretary of the MBA Legal Committee. Good to have you with us. May I also recognize the presence of Mr. Isa Abubakar Aliu, former Assistant National Publicity Secretary, immediate Vice Chairman of the Jos Branch. It's good to have you with us now. Please, Mrs. Nsam, do well to, there's a tall gentleman there, I haven't gotten details of who he is. They're out of jurisdiction, so. At this point, we'll call on our very own Iba-friendly personality, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with the resounding applause. Please let's welcome the Chief Judge of Plateau State, Honorable Justice T. for the opening address. We are waiting for opening remarks. Yes, opening remarks. Please let's keep applauding him as he comes forward. My Lord, are you taking a bath? You cannot be here and not say one of these things, my Lord.
My Lord, here present, the Chairman, MPA, perhaps I'll rest on the protocol that happens. I actually was taken aback, as stated by them, but with that as it may, I would like to again congratulate the MPA for organizing this event and for choosing the theme, which is very hard, and especially today's session, which specifically deals with women and children. I think it's very important that we listen to the lead presenter and also the discussants. We are going to gain a vote. I, for one, decided to come here and to listen to the presentations because I know that we cannot go back and thank you.
Thank you, my Lord. Once again, good morning and welcome to this event once again. Actually, today we have 3 sessions. What we just finished doing are the preliminaries. We'll go into the first session now, which is the FIDA session. After that, we'll have 2 more sessions to go. But before I call on the chairperson of FIDA to say something about this FIDA session, a story is told
of a group of women going for a conference, and the bus got involved in a crash. All the women died. The men took 1 week mourning their wives, but there was a certain man who mourned for 3 weeks. And people were wondering, why every man wants his wife for 1 week? Why is this man mourning for 3 weeks? And so they asked him, what's the matter? He said, I'm mourning because my wife missed the bus. Whatever you think of that is up to you. To kickstart this session, ladies and gentlemen, may I invite the chairperson of FIDA Matters Day, our mother, Mrs. Obioma Ngozi Achimete. Please let's welcome her as she gives us her opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. As I need to stand on a well-established protocol, I would want to repeat part of the protocol by special acknowledging the presence of the Chief Judge of Plateau State, Honorable Justice D.J. Man. Sir, you're welcome. I also want to acknowledge and appreciate the presence of the Superior Court judges here present this morning. My lords, you're welcome. Permit me to be a little biased, to specially acknowledge the presence of my Lord Justice Mary Abaizam. My chair emergencies, the one I took over from. Madam, thank you for coming on the well-established protocol. At this juncture, I want to warmly welcome to the 2023 Nigerian Bar Association Jos Branch Law and AGM with the theme Law and Policy, the General Policy. The theme for this year's Law Week is timely and resourceful. We thank the speakers who did justice to it yesterday. I would just like to add that law and justice is critical to every society. We also want to thank you for giving this session to FIDA and welcome all of you that are here as we go into the discussion of the subtopic titled The Devastating Impact of Human Trafficking on the Plateau, WIDA, the legal profession. I have no doubt that your attendance and participation in this FIDA session is a testimony of your appreciation of the infallible role of FIDA in the dispensation of justice on the plateau. It is my great honor to welcome the discussants that are already here as we discuss the topic this morning. Well, we are gathered to listen to this topic as it's being discussed, not just the devastating impact of human trafficking on the plateau, but also shed light on the pivotal role legal profession can play to curb the menace. Our discussion will delve into the range of present realities of trafficking on the plateau and its devastating impact on the present and future generation. If
the legal profession. It is important that collectively we shine the light on the traffickers for purposes of tracking and prosecuting them. This will serve as a deterrent which will help us rid our society of these perpetrators. We will not only recognize the devastating impact of trafficking as an agent of destruction in our discussion, but we will also use this opportunity to reinforce the urgent need to fight it to a halt. When the grassroots population is sensitized on the devastating impact of trafficking to their level of deep understanding, it will give way for total abolition of trafficking in the affected communities in our states. As we embark on a lively discussion with the stellar lineup of choice presenters and panelists, let us keep in mind the immense potentials that are being destroyed in the victims of trafficking and explore legal towards recovering the lost glory. Let us empower our boys and girls through education, skill acquisition, which will make them unstoppable force in development. Right opportunities, if given to them, will bring out the best. Let us keep our girls and boys in school and not enslaved, because trafficked victims are already in servitude. This empowerment will lead to creating a society that harnesses the full potentials of its younger generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me quickly recognize the presence of the following personalities. The Nabuti Plateau State Commander, Adole Alexander Agada. Please put your hands together, sir. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. We also have in our midst Deborah Paul Wang. She's prosecutor, legal department, Nabuti Plateau State Commander. You're welcome. Thank you very much. We also have Alex Shifu Paradan, Investigation Department. Please put your hands together for them. Okay, we also have in our midst Okaibe Clement Eddie, immediate past chairman of Jos Branch. May I also recognize some of our invited guests. We also have JK Binji GCR. Thank you so much for coming. And MN Mensa. Thank you so much for coming. Well, as the chairperson did mention in her opening address, the session that we are about to go in is something that is very important and something that has become a menace to us. So the devastating impact of human trafficking on the plateau, the legal profession. A number of people have actually been selected to present papers and to also discuss the papers, the paper rather. The person who has been built to talk on this very important subject matter is Honorable Olivia Dazian, former Commissioner for Information, Plateau State, And here she's represented by our mother, who is going to do justice to this paper. Our mother, Mrs. Hulda from Chief MNI. May I invite her to the high table? Please let's welcome our mother, Mrs. Hulda from Chief MNI. Can you come to the high table? Thank you. And there are people who will help discuss the paper that she will present. We have Mr. Alex Agada, an active zonal office. Please let's put our hands together. Can you also come forward, sir? Thank you very much, sir. And then we have Mrs. Nankos Fiacto. She's also going to help discuss the paper. Let's welcome her to the house. Thank you very much. And then, Chairperson, you won't rest. You also have to come to the house. Ngozi Obioma at Chile. She's also going to be one of our discussants. Thank you very much. Okay, I would like to now give the representative of the Bongbong Jos is here. Sorry, we can't seem to have any information to that effect. But not to worry, we already have a sufficient number of people who will, discuss this paper. So I think without any much waste of time, I'd like to yield this podium to our mother, Mrs. Hulda Fauci, former head of service, who is going to actually take us through the paper. Please, let's welcome our mother, Mrs. Hulda Fauci. Put your hands together as I invite her to the high table. Thank you. You're welcome.
My Lord, the honorable teachers, Plateau States, and all honorable judges here present, Chairman of the Bar, Chairman Planning Committee, all former chairmen of the Bar, most especially Khalid Bajam, who was one time first vice president of the bar. All are invited guests and all distinguished members of the bar. But this morning I want to recognize particularly all our FIDA members, all dressed up in a wrapper. I recognize you, and you are all welcome. As you have been told, Honorable Olivia Dacian was supposed to present this paper. Unfortunately, or fortunately I would say, there is another conference on human trafficking taking place right now in Abuja. And she's also participating in that conference, which is organized by the United Nations. So she had to painfully leave us and attend to that. And so it is my privilege to present her at this very important paper presentation. She actually said she is really missing this, and she has requested me to inform this distinguished gathering
that on the plateau, and because of heart is with us, because this paper tackles some of the ills, particularly of insecurity. So our heart is with us this morning, and she also organized successfully this bar week. And she said, we trust that this topic and move us to take particular interest in human trafficking and its devastating effects on the society. Again, as I said earlier, it is my privilege to just go through this paper that she has sent in, and I do hope that we will listen attentively so that we'll be able to gain from what has been written and sent in. I will not play with my paper. Not the lead presenter. And in some few areas, we have to go through some of the things that she has written for effect. In the introduction, she says it gives her great pleasure to be given this opportunity to make this presentation to this great gathering. And she says it gives her great joy that the issue as placed in the topic are very concerning and discomforting to this great association on the plateau. And that is not just an issue that is topical, but is also very disturbing, particularly for the plateau. And she says this gives a clear indication and indeed a clearer message to traffickers in our society that they will soon not only be out of business, but find themselves meeting the full wrath of the law for their nefarious conduct and inhumanity to persons and the general society. So we'll start first by going into understanding trafficking in persons. In 2003, Nigeria ratified the United Nations Protocol to prevent, suppress, and punish trafficking in persons, and that ratification was in the year 2000, also known as the Panama Protocol, by ushering in the legal framework for Nigeria. The Persons Prohibition Law Enforcement and Administrative Act, NAPTIP, was passed in 2003 and subsequently revised in 2015. The crime of trafficking in persons is actually a complex issue. It is clandestine in the sense that sometimes it is carried out very subtly, amongst people that are unsuspecting, and they get away with it. Thus, the crime of trafficking in persons is one of the serious crimes with negative long-term effects on the victims, because it is more or less modern slavery. And it affects victims and the society at large. And it is a crime that feeds and is a possible source of other serious criminal activities. It's not just one crime. When you traffic a person, it's not just the crime of trafficking alone that stands on its own. It includes other crimes because you traffic a person, as we will go on to see. You traffic a person and there's a purpose for which you have trafficked the person. So it is not just the trafficking alone that is a crime. It is tied down to other forms of crime. In Plateau State and other northern states in Nigeria, traffic in persons is being fueled by several factors, such as displacement. We also have poverty. We have humanitarian crisis. We have insurgency and late-armed conflict. And also this increase in negative coping strategies for people. Because once people are insecure, coping strategies become very difficult. There's also lack of education, and the insecurity itself brings about livelihood problems and livelihood options that can lead people or cause people to be widely trafficked without their even realizing they are being trafficked. And so all those other issues such as economic opportunities and so on are causes of trafficking, especially for us in Plateau State. In order to combat trafficking and ensure protection and assistance of vulnerable and affected populations, Nigeria established the NAPTIP to combat activities of traffickers. According to the report of NAPTIP in 2019 and 2023, according to the report in 2019, 203 cases were fully investigated by the agency, and cases of child abuse and procurement of persons for sexual exploitation constituted 17.5% of that population, while 9.4% respectively for others. NAPTIP also reported that the average age of trafficked children in Nigeria is 15 years. So it could be lower, it could be higher. But the issue is that, the average age is 15 years, which is, an age that, you can hardly say a person is an adult enough to have, to offer consent. It's not possible. So Nigeria has now upgraded to a Type 2 country in the United States Department of Trafficking in Persons. 75% of those who are trafficked in Nigeria are trafficked across states, while 83% are trafficked within the state. So you can see that trafficking is not only, whenever I used to hear about trafficking, I just think of, all these people that come in from other nations and traffic persons, but you can see that 23% of trafficked children and other persons is done even within the state. She has a definition for trafficking in persons, which I will not necessarily go through. But trafficking in persons generally means recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring or receipt of persons by means of trade. They are trafficked by means of trade or use of force or other forms of coercion or abduction or fraud or deception. There are so many ways that it is done. Some of the key elements in trafficking in the NAPTIP Act, they are classified as the act itself, the means, and then the purpose. So there must be an act of trafficking. It's almost like a criminal law that you say there must be an actus reus after the menstrual. So there has to be an act. And then the means to do so, and then the purpose must also be established. And all this must coexist for it to become a crime for traffic in persons. The means here that to achieve this, there must be cohesion, force, deception, abduction, abuse of power in some cases, or receiving of exploitation or forced labor or servitude or such practices similar to slavery. So that is the means. There must be some cohesion, there must be some deception. So the act of trafficking, is against, it's not just something you consent to. There must be some form of deception, especially for adults. There must be the purpose. As I said, there was the act, and then there's the means, and then there must be a purpose in the trafficking. And to achieve this, the other purposes, could be, as I said earlier, slavery, prostitution, other forms of sexual exploitation, forced labor, and so on. You'll discover that recruitment or getting of people to be trafficked is normally the starting point. This takes place either locally, where the victim is recruited, or is done in some other ways through deception and moving a person from where he was supposed to be, or from his home or state to another. And then there's also the promise of better life. They also make promises to the victims of better life. And quite sure all of us here are aware of so many cases. People being moved through the desert, people moved through the sea. There's almost there's almost that promise for a better life, which sometimes, it's only on arrival of the victim discover that there isn't such a better life. There's also economic rewards, educational opportunities, or even marriage. So sometimes they are moved, believing that out there, the pasture is greener. And they are usually moved by transportation, and it could be either by land, by air, or by sea, but you have to be moved for it to constitute traffic person. You cannot be trafficked in your home. The victims are also usually either isolation or in locations where they are not they are locked in with padlock and key. So their freedom is totally curtailed while they are forced into labor, where they are sexually exploited, and where the acts that they are required to carry out become criminal when coupled with the other elements. The acts that they are participating in, it could actually even be agri, it could be any form of forced labor, but what they are asked to participate in most times is of the criminal nature. So there's forced recruitment, and then there's fully deceptive recruitment, and then partially deceptive recruitment. Victims may be aware of the nature of the opportunity but are deceived about the terrible conditions. As I said, they will be doing any other thing, but on arrival, they find little or no pay for what they have been asked to go and do. And then they have no working hours under harsh conditions, or even being beaten and forced or violated, and have no freedom whatsoever to live. We know that some of our traffic victims, when they arrive, their passports are seized. You are outside of the country and they have seized your passport on arrival. In which way actually can you leave that country? without your international passport, without your visa, because the visa, of course, obviously is on the passport. So once they have seized that, you have no way of living. And so you are forced to remain against your will and you have no freedom. All these three stages, as I mentioned earlier, and the purpose, all other, and they are linked to each other for the crime of trafficking to be established. All this must be linked. All these elements must be there for the crime of trafficking to be established. Trafficking cases involving children is a topic that she decided to take particularly. According to Part 3 of the Trafficking and Person Prohibition and Administrative Act, the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, possessing of a child for the purpose of exploitation is sufficient to be considered as trafficking in person, even if it doesn't involve any of the means set forth. So for children, there's an exception. It doesn't have to include all those other elements, and that is because a child lacks consent. Therefore, in all cases involving children, officers are only required to establish two elements, and that is the act. That is what is done, and then the purpose. The means is not usually an issue. Thus, consent in cases involving children is not a the act. You cannot say this child agreed to follow me. In cases involving adults, however, if the consent was obtained through any other means, for instance, through fraud or coercion, consent becomes irrelevant also and cannot be used to absolve a person from criminal responsibility. And who is a person or a victim of trafficking? Who can be said to be a victim of trafficking? A victim can be anyone, adult, child, male or female, and in fact, whether literate or educated, anyone can be a victim. Even able-bodied people, or even people with physical challenge, they can be victims of trafficking. Anyone also that's in an IDP camp or host community, all these can be victims. People with various backgrounds, socioeconomic cultures, race, ethnicity, or religion. Victims are targeted based mainly on their vulnerabilities and exploitation intended. So they pick you because there is that purpose that they want to achieve. If you are physically challenged, it will mean that they needed a physically challenged person. If you are military, it's a military that is needed. And if you are educated, probably your level of education and exposure that's needed. So they can pick anybody. Victims are therefore targeted based on their vulnerabilities and exploitation intended. And who is a trafficker? Who are these people that we can say to be traffickers? In fact, sometimes when I'm looking at some of this, it looks like we cannot sometimes absorb some people because there are some people that do it so subtly that they may even be amongst us and we don't even know. The traffickers can be either male or female, and they may act within a criminal group or individually. So you could actually be in a group that may be involved and you may not know. I recall a case that council in our office handled, or some students in I think in Bauchi State University. They trafficked a child from there to Plateau State. And one of them did not even really know it was a form of trafficking and it was with a criminal intent. So he got involved. He took a lot. I don't even know whether he has actually now been absorbed or blamed, but he was also arrested and was going to be prosecuted among the traffickers. Because the way they brought the child and kept the child in an isolated place here in the state, he too should have known that this is not a brother or a child of one of my friends and something was wrong. Looks like he didn't ask sufficient questions and he landed in the problem. So a person who is also a trafficker can be those people that take care of IDP settlements or even those communities. Or you can even be a family member, a close relative, or even a loved one, or a neighbor. The trafficker can also be a teacher, law enforcement officer, humanitarian actor, doctor, or a businessman. So it could be anyone that could be involved. And you will not know until when such a person is arrested. And who are more vulnerable or at risk of being trafficked. These are people who are in places that are crisis affected and where there's lots of insecurity as we are facing in our state. There could be an IDP, so unaccompanied children going to and from school. There could be separated children that is separated from their parents or orphans. There could be single-headed household children, especially those headed by women or children. There are times we keep children, we ask children to take care of themselves. Such can fall victims. There could also be female or child survivors of domestic violence. Trafficked persons are also at risk of being trafficked. Refugees, asylum seekers, and status persons. It could also be ethnic, racial, or religious, social, and other minority groups. So it could be anyone that can be actually vulnerable to be trafficked. And some of the forms and types of exploitation in trafficked cases I've mentioned quite a lot. I'll just go through some of the topics. I'm quite sure this paper will be forwarded. It has one of them as forced participation in armed conflict. People are trafficked and they can be forced into non-state armed groups. It could be for sexual exploitation, production of pornography, or material or even performance in pornographic films or videos. It could be for forced labor or services, or forced marriage, domestic servitude also, and this is where a lot of us are actually victims. There are children that we have that some of them are picked from IDP camps, some are picked from areas where there are lots of insecurity, and we keep such children. And they don't go to school and they are treated. I'm sure a lot of us here recall the case of this girl who go through that, even lost her life in the process. So we have false involvement in criminal gangs, as I mentioned, mixed exploitation, victim is subjected to multiple forms of exploitation, baby harvesting, that is baby manufacturing, methods used to control victims of traffic persons are so many, but violence is one of them. Deception, addiction, and all forms of imprisonment are ways that a traffic victim is kept. causes of trafficking are general, but most of it is domestic, poverty or lack of education or insecurity, as I mentioned. A case study of Plateau State will also reveal that all these reasons are advanced earlier for people being trafficked are available here in Plateau State. There's a quote here that says the NAPTIP commander stated that in 2021, 68 children were rescued from a fake orphanage in Jos. And that he says perpetrators who trafficked these children, trafficked them from Adamawa, Taraba, and other local governments within Plateau State, but they were covered by NAPTIP in conjunction and treated in conjunction with the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, along with our sister Olivia. The perpetrators have since been arrested and will be prosecuted. A woman who was making arrangements to send 2 girls also to Lagos was also apprehended by NAPTIP here in Jos. And since the commander, Mr. Dole, is here, I'm quite sure he will confirm that. Let me just go to the impact. And the impacts are so many that I'll just mention a few. There's psychosomatic reactions such as headaches, backaches, neck pain, and the rest. There's also psychological reactions such as violence, amnesia or insomnia, disorders, all forms of nightmares. And there are also social reactions and substance abuse. When they come out, they're not for themselves. There are also health challenges such as unwanted pregnancy, unsafe abortions, and the rest. There are also socio-economic impacts such as debts or loss of jobs, poverty due to difficulties in finding a job. There are also legal and security consequences. Most of the time are able to get legal, they will not be able to secure legal services, when they come out. So all those are some of the devastating impacts. Some of them also include the fact that children who are trafficked face quite a number of issues, such as stunted growth, physical and emotional, and physiological development problems, and so on. I think I will leave those and go to the legal framework for Plateau State. The legal framework for Plateau State includes the Constitution, the NAPTIP law, and also the Penal Code and Child Rights Law for Plateau State. All of these criminalize trafficking in persons. And what we as lawyers, we should be able to be of assistance to increase efforts to prosecute those that investigation has proved that they are actually involved, criminals. Increase efforts to prosecute convict traffickers and seek adequate penalties for convicted traffickers. And then we should also offer human trafficking victims legal services pro bono if you can, including support. You can also support in other ways. And then we as lawyers also, who come from different communities, either within Nigeria or Plateau State, you are asked to take special interest in what happens in the same communities. And a lot of our children are moved to other cities in the country where they are distributed. We can actually check parks, or if you see in the park someone actually willing and it belongs to a person and they're traveling together. But if one person has like 4 or 5 children of about the same age, then you know that something is wrong. At the past, we can actually be able to rescue some victims or help to rescue them. As lawyers in this branch also, we can sponsor sensitization programs, cooperation with government and other NGOs to ensure that we help some of these victims so that we ameliorate the impact. And then finally she says, my dear colleagues, the internal displacement situation in our state deserves our attention and support. We believe that after this paper, all of us will be more sensitized, all of us will be more interested, and all of us will be more willing to come alongside all these victims and offer the help that we should. The menace of trafficking is damaging, disastrous, and devastating to the victims and the victims' families and the society at large. Hence the need for some of the recommendations that she has made. And one of such is that trafficking offenders should be promptly prosecuted if found guilty and should be punished appropriately by the state to serve as deterrent to others. Parents who give out their children for monetary benefits should also be arrested and punished for being accessories by trafficking. Abandonment of spousal and parental responsibilities should also be criminalized. And you know that in the child rights law, those are all crimes, you know, that parents should be prosecuted for. And there should also be strengthening of our criminal justice system. And there should be a collaborative effort of all stakeholders in the administration of criminal justice sector. The Nigerian Police Force, Nigerian Service, Immigration Service, and other investigating agencies should provide NAPTIP with information and intelligence in order to enable them to track down suspected traffic syndicates. This should be continuous synergy among government, law enforcement agents, and media, particularly religious bodies, traditional rulers, civil societies, and NGOs, as they all have an important role to play in the war against human trafficking. More should be done in area of counseling, rehabilitation, and integration into the society, especially for traumatized and hunted victims of trafficking. Continuous awareness and sensitization of the dangers and consequences of trafficking by media, government, and civil society organizations should also be of interest to us. We believe that with this we have been enlightened everyone here to be a participant in ensuring that we cut this menace, because we are losing so much. Children are supposed to be our tomorrow. Children are supposed to be the society's leaders for tomorrow, and they are to be trafficked and destroyed by human traffickers. I think that we should take more special interest in this. Thank you very much for listening.
Please, can we give another big round of applause? I think, despite the fact that the paper presenter sent it to her, she has taken ownership of the paper, frankly. And the subject matter of engagement is one that I adequately dealt with in a session as brief as this. So the subject matter of child trafficking or human trafficking generally is one that should call for an entire conference. So thank you so very much for this. We will take the discussants. But before then, after a certain case, a lawyer defended his client and got him acquitted. Then after the acquittal, he now faced his client and said, now tell me the truth. Did you actually steal the goat? Now that you have been acquitted, tell me the truth. Did you actually steal the goat? The client looked at his lawyer and said, the way you argued in court, I'm beginning to think that I did not. Okay, the discussants will take 10 minutes each. Please would crave your indulgence to stick to maximum of 10 minutes to contribute whatever you can to the paper that has just been presented. I'm going to start with the narrative person, so we'll give you 10 minutes to discuss this paper. Welcome our discussant as he takes this time.
Good morning, all. I plead to stand on the existing protocol, also to recognize the presence of the Chief Justice of the State. I want to thank the presenter for a job well done. She has been able to give us an overview of trafficking in Nigeria, and she also narrowed it down to trafficking activities in Plateau State. I want to thank her because she did a very good job. And on our own, as National Agency for the Prevention of Human Trafficking in Plateau State, I want to narrow the activities down to what is happening in Plateau State here so that so many of you will understand what is going on as far as human trafficking in Plateau State here is concerned. I want to say that trafficking in Plateau State, both domestic, both internal and external, is on the increase. It's highly on the increase. The NAPTIP Plateau State Command Office started as a liaison office in 2021, and it became a full-fledged command last year. That was when I was posted here. And from that 2021 to date, we have rescued more than 178 victims through our office. Remember an orphanage home that was closed down, I think about 2 years back. She made reference to it. And we were able to rescue about 68 victims from that orphanage home. Some of those victims came from Taraba, some from Adamawa. Majority of them are from Plateau State here. We were able with their parents, both in Taraba and in Plateau State. But unfortunately, the runners of the orphanage homes confessed that they took about 20 of those victims from Plateau State here to Port Harcourt, and about 10 of them in Aba, domestic substitute. We were able to recover some, and up till now, I think we've not been able to recover all yet. Domestically, there is a case that is going on in my office right now, where about 30 victims, children, were taken away from Basa local government. And that case is ongoing. We have been able to rescue about 12 of them from Anambra State, and a woman that trafficked those children from Plateau State here, she promised bringing about 7 this week. We are still waiting. There are so many of these trafficking cases. There was last 3 weeks, There were some children that were being trafficked to Lagos from Jos here. I got a hint. I called my office in Lagos, and immediately they got to the terminus where the bus was supposed to, this was supposed to end in Lagos, and they were able to rescue the 3 children that were taken away from Jos here. And in the process of that, they were able to rescue another 14 children, and they brought them back to Jos here, and we handed over them to the state government. It was last 2 days. So the issue of internal trafficking is on the rise. These are the few cases I can remember and mention. Externally, there is also a rise in trafficking. We've been able to rescue about 5 young ladies from outside the country. There was a day I came to the office, a woman came to my office, and she said that she has been looking for her daughter for the past 2 weeks. And that very night, the daughter called her from Gambia. She gave us the number. We were able to contact the Gambian police. And the Gambian police were able to rescue this young lady for us. And we asked them to collect all the money that she has made from the madam. They were able to do that. And we still pleaded with them to take the victim to the Nigerian embassy in Gambia. And she was taken there. December last year, the girl was brought back. And she was able to tell us the person that trafficked her to Gambia. We effected the arrest of the suspect in Jos here. And right now, as I talk to you, the suspect is in the prison custody. The case is ongoing. We have so many of such cases that are ongoing in the court right now. Also, there is a woman in around Gadaview area, because she has some sisters in the prostitution in Mali. She has been doing all she has to recruit young ladies from Jos to Mali. There was one she recruited that came back sick. We took that one to the hospital so that she will be able to testify for us in the court. Unfortunately, when that one recovered, she died. And we've not been able to. In fact, the case is already in the court, but we've not been able to lay hand on a victim that will help us testify against her in the court. So many of these cases, a lot of it, that we've been trying all our best to do a lot of things. Right now, we have up to close to 12 cases in the court. Last 2 weeks, we secured 2 convictions from the Federal High Court on the issue of human trafficking in Jos. And in fact, Plateau State Command is very, very lucky, because in the history of NAPTI, Plateau State Command is the first command to secure conviction on an expatriate. Last 2 weeks. So, we'll be making a lot of efforts, especially in the area of sensitization, because without giving people adequate knowledge of what human trafficking is, people, especially people in the rural areas, they are ignorant. They don't know much about this human trafficking, because this traffickers will go to the rural areas, means them that they want to take their child, they want to take their child to school, they want to give them a very good job so that they'll be earning salary and be bringing a lot of money to them. And at the end, what they do is completely different from what they go to tell people in the villages. So I'm using this opportunity to make a plea because we need to sensitize sensitization to all the local governments in Plateau State here. And we don't have a very functional operational vehicle for our men to go in. So I am making a plea that if there is any way, this forum can make a plea to the state government to help us with vehicles that will make our officers go around to sensitize the rural areas to be very, very happy. The presenter has made a very good explanation on what human trafficking is all about. But there was a particular issue she did not mention among the types of human trafficking, which is organ harvesting. Organ harvesting is also part of the activities of traffickers. Because many times they deceive people out of this country that they are taking them out of the country to go and give them a very good job. And before they do that, they might have made a very good arrangement in hospitals there, out there. And as soon as you leave the country here, they will take you to the hospital and before you know, your kidney has been removed. And you know how much a kidney costs when you convert the money to dollars. So organ harvesting is also one of trafficking. Begging is there. Sale of babies is there. Labor exploitation is also there. Labor exploitation is not only children's labor that are exploited, because trafficking has no age limit. Even an adult, even a lawyer was trafficked out of this country before. So trafficking has no age limit. Thank you very much.
Please put your this very wonderful discussion. He has opened our eyes, he has told us what they've been able to do. And I hope that those of us concerned will also join hands. May I also invite Mrs. Fiat to, you may sit if you want to sit, but you want to.
Much for this opportunity and Chief Judge of Plateau State, existing protocol. We delivered paper and then the director of NAPTIC. Actually, I met him like 2-3 weeks ago at the Ministry of Women Affairs when 14 children from Plateau State were brought back. They were recovered, so we had a press conference. It was quite a pathetic situation. You know, seeing a girl child of 8 years, and even after asking her why she was taken to Lagos, she told us that she is there to sell minerals, and it's so terrible because this is just. I just began to wonder because even as an adult, I attended my law school in Lagos actually, and it was not easy living in Lagos and coping with the way Lagos is. So for a child of 8 years to be taken to Lagos is really a terrible situation. And out of curiosity, I took a state order to ask the children if they have parents. None of them said it's an orphan. All of them had their parents alive. In fact, it is so terrible that in Rio, we were told that some parents now give consent for their children to be trafficked. And you know that is something that is illegal. You cannot give consent for something that is not allowed by the law. So we at FIDA are really big on sensitization. By God's grace, we've been able to go into different communities in Plateau State. We've mingled with the women national leaders. About 2 years ago, Ford Foundation, funded us to implement a project in Mongo of Mongo local government. And when we went there, we were able to have an interface with the stakeholders, community leaders, religious leaders. We had people from CAN, we had people from JNI, we had the women leaders, and then one of the things that they raised, child trafficking, which is really a menace in Plateau State. We've also been to jail, and it's also an issue. And when we ask why our girls being taken out of Plateau State every day, one of the things we get to hear is that Plateau girls are very good girls. They don't snatch their husbands of their traffickers. So and that's why they prefer to come to Plateau State to pick our girls. So that is really terrible. We've also been to Rio. And then Rio being a border town is one of the local governments in Plateau State that is like a flashpoint of trafficking cases. A lot of children from Rio have been trafficked. Even the women they attested to that. We've been to Barcelona. And when the Canadian embassy wanted FIDA Nigeria to implement a project in Nigeria, Plateau State was picked as one of the states, that has been determined by conflict. And at the root of all this, when you look at it critically, it's always about the issue of displacement. It's always about the incessant conflict and the crisis that has been able in the state. Plateau State really has gone through a lot when it comes to conflict. So when you now look at all the factors that contribute to trafficking, that enable trafficking, communal clashes, and then poverty in Plateau State is really a very big issue. Like we always say, poverty is not an excuse for you to give out your child. It's really not an excuse, and it is unfortunate that parents too are also perpetrators. We mothers too, most times are perpetrators. I'm also calling on our fellow women here that with the BRAC law and the provisions of the child rights law now, we cannot go to villages to be picking girls when we don't have plans for them. And like the paper presenter rightly said, it's not just young girls, a lot of even the 14 children that were recovered from Lagos, to the Ministry of Justice with the help of NAPTIP here, we saw 2 boys among these girls. So, it's not only the girl child that is a victim, anybody can be a victim. And this is just like a rallying point for us as lawyers to try and see how we can partner with government, how we can partner with other CSOs to create awareness. Because at the root of trafficking is also ignorance and illiteracy. I believe that if our people in the communities are aware of the dangers of trafficking, they will not give out their children willingly. But like the people rightly said, most times they are deceived into believing that these children are being taken to the city for better opportunities and for other benefits, unknown to them that these children are being subjected to different forms of exploitation. Some are sexually harassed. We heard about the case of a young girl who was trafficked to Lagos. She was given to a particular family where the woman is a nurse. And you know how nursing jobs are? They work based on shifts. So in the night when the wife is away, the young girl becomes the wife to the man and he sleeps with her. To the point that a neighbor noticed that there was a problem and had to rescue the girl. Called a taxi driver to take her to Plateau Riders in Lagos where she can get a ride and come back home. But even the taxi driver did not take her to Plateau Riders. He took her to his home to abuse her, to rape her before dumping her at Plateau Riders. So there are a lot of dangers and health consequences that comes with that. These girls, even later on in life, when they get married, this what they have gone through really affects them, and what they have gone through, turns them into a different person. Because, and unfortunately for us, we don't have rehabilitation centers, we don't have counseling centers. Yes, CSOs, NGOs like FIDA, human rights organizations that are here have been trying, in creating awareness. But apart from that, I think that the government needs to have an institution that will be in charge of counseling victims of trafficking. We are hoping and praying that the SAT Center comes to reality. If we're able to have the sexual referral center in Plateau State, which provides for a counseling unit, some of these victims can actually be taken to that place. Our mandate in FIDA is girls, not just young girls, but also young boys to young men. And most times, people are trafficked out of desperation. This is for our young adults. Most times, we are seeking for better opportunities. It is okay to want to succeed. It is okay to want to travel out of this country. It is okay for us to desire good things, but let our desperation not lead us into something that we cannot recover from. Because out of this desperation, so many people have been deceived. You are told a different thing, but on getting to